Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today's topic is outdoor lighting basics. What I aim to do is by the end of this video, help you have a much better understanding of the different types of lights that you will encounter outside and different modifiers or different ways that you can combat that light to help you get better images and the images that you're going for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, first things first, when you go outside, especially during the day, your biggest light source is going to be the sun. Now, I want you to think of the sun as kind of like a tennis ball, and the light rays are where that tennis ball is being thrown. And what I mean by that is basically it'll help you visualize the direction of the sun and where that light is going to bounce. So, for example, if the sun is up here and the rays are coming down here, what's going to end up happening is if you throw a tennis ball, it's going to come down here, and if here's the floor, it's going to bounce up and head that way. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll notice this a lot when you go shoot, like say at a park or a college campus or something like that, where there may be a lot of sidewalks or concrete walls. You'll really be able to visually see or even tell right off the bat, there's the light source, means the light's coming down here, so it's going to be bouncing off of here and deflecting off on that angle. So this helps you really just get a visual idea of where the light is going and how it's going to affect your image. A lot of the times, something that I'll even use to my advantage is if there's a sidewalk or a large patch of a lighter color concrete, I will use that to my advantage in terms of using it as a fill light. So I'll have the sun actually be bouncing on that concrete and bring it up to my subject's face, because like I said, you want to think of those sun rays as kind of like a tennis ball being thrown, and wherever that ball is going to bounce is essentially where that light is going to bounce and then hit whatever it is you're photographing. So going back to that example, it hits the floor, the concrete, and bounces right back up and can really give you some beautiful images, just adding a little bit more light coming from the bottom up. Now, staying with the theme of natural outdoor light, one of the things that you could use, and it's a tool that I highly recommend you get if you don't already have one, is a reflector. Now, there's a few different kinds of reflectors, and I highly recommend a 5-in-1 similar to this. And what this does is essentially gives you a few different variants of a reflective surface to give you different results. There's a gold reflective surface, which is obviously going to bounce the light once again. That's why I gave you that example of that tennis ball being thrown, because if you were to use a reflector like this, it makes it a lot easier for you to find where you need to angle that reflector and then deflect that light onto the subject or whatever it is you're shooting. But going back to what I was saying, these reflectors even have a silver side to get you a much colder tone in that reflection. And then one of my favorites is just a very sheer white material that just helps diffuse the light itself and make it significantly softer. I use this a lot in my photos, especially since I mainly shoot on location and with natural light. This does allow for a really beautiful, soft looking light on your subject. So like I said, if this is not something you have, I highly recommend you get this, because this can not only be used outside but also in the studio. Remember, it does bounce the light, and there's technically light pretty much everywhere unless you're somewhere where it's pitch black, obviously. But even in a studio setting, you can definitely use it to your advantage as well. Now let's talk about the different types of light that you will encounter while shooting outside. One of them is going to be the most popular, and that is called the golden hour. This is when the sun is setting, so you get a really nice angle of light because that sun is very, very close to your horizon, giving you beautiful images like this. Not to mention, they call it the golden hour because it also gives you extremely warm tones and just overall a beautiful quality of light. And conversely, we have the blue hour. This is typically in the morning. As the sun begins to set, you are still getting a little bit of light, but before the sun completely comes up and warms the color temperature of that light up a lot, you get what is called the blue hour. And conversely, closely to the golden hour. This is when you'll still get some light, but it'll be very soft, a little bit hazy, and more on the bluer, colder tones of that light temperature. Now, another type of light that you will inevitably run into is just technically overcast days. Now, what this does is because there's a lot of clouds, it really evens out the light and makes it very, very soft across the board. Photographers generally like to shoot in this type of light because it's a lot easier to control and just make everything look very, very different. A lot of people like this type of look versus a little bit more of the dramatic look with that harder light that you may get on a sunny day. However, just another type of light that you might run into. And guys, that is going to conclude the video here. I hope you learned a few things that you might not have known before. This is essential for understanding light and really maximizing it to your advantage, especially when you go and shoot outdoors. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel continue to grow. And if you're not already subscribed, consider doing so, as we have fresh content coming out for you every single week. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.